Good evening, everybody. Namaste. I'm happy to be here and I welcome you all to this transformational meditation class organized by Quantum Life University. Welcome you all to this So, dear friends, it would be good to begin by knowing who all are here. So if you can write in the comment section your name and from which city are you joining us live. By the time other members will also begin to join us. So let's pour in some comments and let me know if you are with me, if you can, if I'm audible, if I can be seen on your screen. Just give me a thumbs up or write a comment mentioning your city that you are joining us from. Okay, friends. So, before we start, let's have a moment of silence and let us align ourselves for today's transformation class. So, let us just close our eyes and be with our breath, just focusing on your normal, natural breath. We don't have to do anything, we just have to be with the breath, our natural breath. And with this alignment, we are preparing ourselves to spend some time with our own self, wherein we raise a self inquiry, wherein we question ourselves and we try to explore the answer within. When we begin to find answers within, that is what the true transformation is. A few more moments, we can stay with our breath. We can just open ourselves. And as we begin to open, we also empty ourselves of our routine and we can be fully, mindfully present to this moment. If you have chosen to be here, you've chosen here. You have chosen it because you're here for some reason. Let us all be here, present in this moment. Last 30 seconds. We can stay here. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. We can keep our hands on our eyes for 5 seconds and gently open your eyes. So friends, it's a beautiful evening today. Rather, every evening is beautiful. But it is good to recognize that it is beautiful. And I'm happy that all of you are joining. Mridul Gupta, welcome. Saraswati, Nidhi, Jatin, Kaveri, Vipin, Beena, Monica, Kripa. Warm welcome to all of you, and also to those of you who are watching us on platforms of Facebook, Twitter, and those of you who are also going to watch it later. A warm welcome to all of you to this transformational meditation class. So friends, each one of us want to know about happiness. Many a times we use this word, real happiness. What is real happiness? What is true happiness? And we want to have a taste of it. And I'm sure many of us have had the taste of it. It's just that sometimes we are unconscious and that moment comes in wherein we have true happiness, but it passes in such a way that we are not able to notice that. So today's story is going to bring us a lot of insights about true happiness. And not only just that, it is also going to bring to our attention some of the qualities of enlightened beings. And I think, when we begin to understand ourselves by way of stories, the learning can be exponential in nature. And I have picked up this story, which is called Raikva. It's a story of a man who is a cart puller, a cartwheeler. His name is Raikva. So this story is picked up from Chandogya Upanishad, which is mentioned under Sam Veda. So there are 4 Vedas that we have, and those 4 Vedas are the heads for all the Upanishads that we have. Roughly there are 108 Upanishads, including the major and the minor Upanishads. But 10 are considered to be, the major Upanishads, and one of those Upanishads is called Chandogya Upanishad. So each Upanishad speaks about some stories. By way of stories, the seers, the drishtas, like the rishis and munis who have written these Upanishads, are trying to bring some aspects of our own life in our front. And they want to teach us through those stories. But there is a catch in these stories, dear friends. If we want to have a greater understanding of these stories rather than having an understanding at a gross level, we must need to have a full attention to the stories, which means we have to sit mindfully, we have to absorb each and every word which is spoken, and at the same time we have to raise self-inquiry within, because if we raise those inquiries within, undoubtedly it is going to be a doorway to connect with your own real self. Like, because the essence of our Upanishads is to connect us to our real essence. It is to get us closer to our true self. And that's what all stories are trying to do. So if you are with me, I want you to be fully here with me, because this story is going to take you into a different zone. And I want you to be there so that you can completely absorb it, absorb the learnings of it, and enjoy the very essence of it. And I'm sure once you begin to understand it, your inner sun, your own Atman, is going to shine from within when you hear it. So as I said, The story is about Raikva, the cart puller. Now, Upanishads say that whenever we begin some discussion, we should start with Shanti Path and we should end with Shanti Path. So I'm going to recite a mantra, a Shanti Path from our Upanishads so that we can begin. And I hope that all of you are here with me, totally aligned to this story. Here we go. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnata Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So friends, Raikwa, the cart wheeler. So long ago, there was this king whose name was Janashruti. So the names are not kept in our stories. They are not just kept like that. They are not casual names. They are kept with some essence, something that they want to portray about the character through their names. So this king, whose name is Jan Shruti. Jan means people. Shruti means that which is remembered or celebrated, that which is followed. Right? So Janashruti is the one who is celebrated amongst people. That's why his name is Jan. So an extremely wise king, who is the epitome of, we can say, the charity and kindness. That's why he is Janashruti. He would offer, great, huge feasts to people. He would do such great work for his own kingdom. He would build roads, build bridges, created new markets for people to sell their product, to trade from, their village to another village. So he took greater care of all his people. And he used to feel very happy serving people. That's what he was. One day he was sitting and he was thinking that people really like his food. And he was feeling really good about that people like the food that he offers because he would give them with so much of, serving. And he was feeling pride about it, that, wow, I'm so glad that people can feel and, they are able to have my food and I'm sharing it with them so openly. And his kingdom, people who are there in his kingdom, they are also happy. He would feel good about it, that his governance is so good that everybody in the kingdom is feeling, happy about the way the things are moving. So one day he was sitting in his balcony and it was an evening time. The evening was about to burst. The sun was going to set and there was pink, sky which was showing up and the orangish sky. And in that time, he was relaxing and he was feeling good about his own self. He was feeling happy that the way he was running his affairs, and he was so fair in doing all the affairs of his, work and taking care of people. And there was his minister who was standing with him, and he was giving him the day report. And he was enjoying buttermilk and mangoes. So having a sip of buttermilk and enjoying the slice of mango, he was feeling that he is in heaven. He was thoroughly enjoying that moment. And now what happens, from a very far off distance, he sees that there are two flamingos who are flying up in the sky. And slowly, while they are flying, they are coming closer to in the vicinity of that, that palace in which, Janashruti was living. So as he was coming closer, those flamingos were coming closer, the Janashruti could not miss what they actually were saying. They were conversating something. Those flamingos were conversating something. And one flamingo says it to the other that, can you see that there is so much of radiance in front of you, and that there is some king who is sitting? You know who is he? He is Janashruti. One flamingo says it to the other flamingo. And beware, he says, that don't move into his vicinity. Otherwise you will burn your wings, because his radiance is so high. He is so full of service that, his aura is so strong. And if you try to move into that, you will burn. You will burn your wings. So be careful. Be careful the way you are, approaching and going closer to that balcony. To which the second flamingo says, what radiance? You are saying as if, you're talking about his brilliance as if he were Raikva. You're talking about his brilliance as if he were Raikva. And he says this, to which the first flamingo says, who is Raikva? I don't know about Raikva. He says, Raikva is the wisest of all. He's the greatest of all. He's the kindest of all. And it is said that if somewhere in the world a good deed is done, the benefit or the fruit of that good deed goes to Raikva. He's like that. He is so kind and wise. So friends, this conversation between two flamingos who were flying up in the sky, Janashruti was able to hear that. Now, I will stop the story here just to bring your attention to this notice, because most of the times when we hear such stories, we might say, how can birds communicate? But it is very much possible for us to hear the language of the language of birds. It doesn't mean that they just have to speak our language, but if we are awakened enough, if we are mindful enough, we can sense it. What is it that they are trying to say? And birds are actually messengers. So they are messengers of, our own inner self. So that's what, this story is trying to put forward to us. That, there is this information that comes in to Janashruti that Raikva is the kindest of all. He is the wisest of all. And whosoever does the good deeds, the benefit or the fruit of that good deeds goes to Raikva. And now flamingos have, they've gone. Now King is itching to know who is Raikva. He hadn't heard of this name. And now it's night. He's still brooding over who is Raikva, Raikva. I haven't met. I want to see him. I want to meet him. That's what he is going through. The whole night he is thinking about nothing but Raikva. And when he wakes up in the morning, now in the cultures of royals, what happens, how are you woken up in the morning? It's not that you just wake up from the bed and your day starts. Usually the kings are, woken up with the glories that are sung in front of them. So the ministers begin to sing, oh, the greatest of all, oh, the wisest of all, get up, it's a new day, we welcome you, thank you for all your kindness. So that is how they begin to sing it with, all nagaras and, everything happening around. But this time, when Janashruti wakes up, as soon as they begin to, sing all those glories of his, he said, wait. He said, I don't want to have these glories. I just want to know one thing because I am not feeling good about something. And I want to know who is Raikva. I want to meet Raikva. Please bring Raikva to me. I want to have his darshan. I want to meet him. Now, as soon as king says this, it becomes the command for the ministers and the soldiers. So the troop of soldiers is being sent to the villages around to find out where is Raikwa. Now he's been told that Raikwa could be found in caves. He must be sitting in the company of sages. He must be in some cave meditating. So the soldiers started to look around caves and jungles, finding out that where is Raikwa. Maybe he's in some group of sages. He's singing some bhajans, and where is he? So the search began. 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hours. They started in the morning and it becomes evening, and they don't have any information about Raikwa, that who is Raikwa. Whosoever they go to, they ask, have you seen Raikwa? People say, no, I haven't seen. We don't know about him. Who is he? We don't know. And then ultimately, they stop for some rest. The soldiers stop for some rest. And they stop in the middle of a bazaar, a market. So there is a market that is being set. Somebody is hemming dhotis, and somebody is frying puris and samosas, and somebody is selling vegetables, some clay pots. Everybody is doing some work and they are shouting, 1 rupee for hemming your dhoti, 2 rupees for samosas and puris. And that's what he can hear. Those soldiers can hear, and they are sitting and they are having a sip of water because they are tired, looking out for Raikwa the whole day. And in that crowd, those soldiers look at somebody who is in the crowd, but there is something different about this man. There is some shine on his face. There is some glow in his face. And he seems to be extremely content, calm, joyful from within. And they feel this person doesn't seem to be a normal man. He's not like others. There's something different about this person. Let's go to this person and find out where is Raikwa. Maybe he has met him. So that's what they do. They go to this person who is basically a cart puller. So he's, pulling the cart because he's loading something on the cart and is taking from one place to another. They stop near to him and then they ask, what's your name? And this person, the cart puller, says, my name is Raikwa. Now, friends, I will stop the story here for some time so that we can look into, what is being shown here. Usually, we have this notion that the spiritual people will always be found meditating, sitting in caves, sitting with sages, doing all the bhajans and pujas and, just busy with their own self. But you see, Raikwa is not found there. He's not found in the company of sages. He's not found in caves meditating. Although he is in the normal life, he's found in the midst of that market, in the midst of that crowd, and he's trying to do the work that he's being offered. This speaks about that sometimes, in our life, we feel that the answers are going to be in the obvious zones. But we must learn to go beyond obvious to have the answer. The obvious is what for Raikwa, that he will be in, meditators group, he will be sitting in the company of sages. But He is sitting beyond obvious zone for him. And what is beyond the obvious zone? That he is completely immersed in samsara. He's not sitting at the pedestal of nirvana. He is living that nirvana in the samsara that he is in. So he is doing his work. The way it is said that, Lao Tzu once said that before enlightenment, I chopped woods. And after enlightenment, I chopped woods. So it is not about that after enlightenment you become extraordinary. It's about being ordinary and doing all the work from that extraordinary space within you. Because whatever you touch it so joyfully, so much from the space of contentment, that that ordinary becomes extraordinary. So that is what, which was showcased from this very incident of Raikva. Look, our rishis were extremely intelligent, because they knew what is the basic myth with people. People feel that sages are only found in Himalayas. No, they can be in the real life. They can be in Grahastha. They can live their normal life and yet have that light which is glowing and shining, and all the work that they do it from that space. So going back to the story, now the soldiers are extremely happy. Wow, finally, we have something to tell to our Lord, our King, that we have found Raikva. And now they have found Raikva, they go back very happily to their king and they inform the king that we have met Raikva and we know where he is. We can take you to Raikva. To this, king becomes extremely delighted. He gets so happy that he feels extremely joyful like a child with him. He says, finally, I'm going to see Raikva. And he orders his ministers that prepare for tomorrow's visit to Raikva. And I'm not going to go alone. I'm going to go with all my royalty, with my elephants, with my, troops, with great pomp and show. I'm going to go and approach Raikva. With great gifts, that I'm going to go and meet Raikva. So everybody is very excited. Next morning, they wake up. There is a trumpet which is blown, and there starts the journey from the palace to the Raikva's palace. And everybody is looking at, this huge show which is happening on the street. Where is the king going? Whom is he going to go and meet? What is so special about today's visit? That there are horses, there are elephants, and there are so many gifts that are carried. And along with that, there is a troop of soldiers following the king, following Janashruti. And finally, Janashruti reaches near to the place of Raikva. So he comes down and he goes to Raikva and he says, Raikva, the floodgates of the blessings have opened to you. For your wiseness, I would like to offer you all the gifts. Pick up hundreds of cows that I have. Pick up hundreds of horses that I have. Pick up all this jewelry. I want to give you my big necklace, the Maharaja necklace that I want to offer to you. And you deserve it, because the floodgates of the abundance, the floodgate of blessings and grace has now come to you. It has opened up to you. Receive it. That's what he says. To which Raikva looks at him and he simply ignores everything. And he says, I don't need your gift. Go back. Leave me alone. Go back. Now when Janashruti hears this out, he feels embarrassed and he feels hurt. He doesn't say anything. He turns back, sits on his elephant, and he goes back. And when he goes back, Now he is brooding over what went wrong. Because he's a wise man. He knows how to do an inquiry on something which did not go the way it should have. Now he is thinking over it. What went wrong? What's wrong? Then slowly, as he was asking this question, some light began to appear from within, which started to give him some insights. He realized that somewhere Raikva is not looking for what Janashruti is offering. He is not controlled by the gifts. He doesn't need wealth. He doesn't need horses, necklaces. He doesn't need all those things, all those luxury items. He doesn't need that. So he is not controlled by that. But Raikwa has something which king doesn't have. He holds something which king is looking up to. He is seeking for that. So then he realized that while he was talking to him, maybe he was speaking from his space of ego. And he was trying to show that he is bigger. Because as soon as he went there, he just said that the floodgates of this, the blessings and the grace have opened to you. Get whatever you want. You can ask for whatever you want. You can take that. And then he finally realized that somewhere he was taken over by his power. He was doing a pomp and show of all, the possessions that he had, all the earnings, and he was too attached to the achievements and the accolades that he carried. And he realized that somewhere he was not coming from a pure state. So then he made a correction that next time I'm going to visit him the very next day, but this time I'm going to come from the space of humility, being humble. Because this man, Raikwa, has taught him something which nobody else is able to. How? Because everybody will look for the gifts that king would offer, but he straightforward rejected everything. And now he's taken over by the potential that this person carries and in what state this person lives, which makes him really powerful. So in a way, he realized that Raikwa is powerful than him, because the power doesn't bring you pride. Real power brings you humility. There is no question of holding kindness if you don't hold kindness from the space of humility. It is incomplete. Janashruti was an extremely kind person, but if he is not humble, that kindness is of no use. And that kindness is not coming from a higher self, it's coming from a lower part of yourself, because you are taken over by your own pride. And you carry that ego that I am the one who is doing it, and I am the one who is making others happy. So the very next day, he goes, and this time he's going alone. He's not taking his troops, no horses, no elephants, no gifts. He just goes there, and Raikwa is sitting outside his hut, and he folds his hand, and then he says, "Dear Raikwa, please take me as your student. I want to be your student. I want to learn from you. I want to learn this what you are carrying within. I want to experience what you have experienced. I want to experience that which makes you content and happy where you are. I want to experience that which makes you truly powerful the way you are. And this time, Raikva looks at him with so much of love, because now he has noticed that the ego that he carried, Janashruti carried, is now starting to drop. It's now dropping layer by layer, it is going down. And the head of the ego has now fallen down. Usually in Upanishads, in stories, they will say, your head will fall. That's what they say. So it doesn't mean that literally your head will fall. It simply means that your ego is attached to head. So your head will fall means your ego will fall. And that's what he could see, that his head has fallen. His false head has fallen. And now he is like an empty bowl where some pure nectar can be filled in. And this time, when Janashruti is ready, Janashruti sits right next to, down, in front of Raikva. He sits on the ground, and then Raikva begins to give him the knowledge of self. He begins to speak about the real self. So he says, self is beyond all these things. Self is beyond all the material possessions, your accolades, your achievements. Self is something which is self-sufficient and self-content. It doesn't need anything from outside to make it content. That's what he says. And he tells the one who is able to tap into that self which is content within, then this person is extremely powerful. This person is an enlightened being. So friends, if I stop here and I talk about, our journey, usually what happens is we are seeking happiness. We are trying to move here and there. Today, something will bring me happiness. Maybe a latest iPhone will bring me happiness. And I'm happy with it. First day, second day, third day, exploring its features. But there comes a time when it is 1 year holding that mobile. And now, new mobile is being launched. New model has come. The affection that I felt, the happiness that I felt for that very mobile, which I held earlier, is now not the same than the moment when I bought it. It's not the same. So this goes with us. This is how we look at life. We latch on to things to make us happy. We latch on to relationships to make us happy. But you have to stop here and find out, is it truly making you happy? Is this happiness true happiness? Because if it is true happiness, then it should be a fact that the happiness quotient which is coming from that should constantly come the way it was coming in the first go. It should be same. It should not diminish with every use. For example, you're a young man, you're attracted to some woman, you are looking out for that woman and you feel, if I wish I have that woman, I have my, my dream partner, I will be happy. Now you have your dream partner. I wish I can marry her, I will be happy. Okay, you now marry her. Now you begin to live with her. And slowly you move to the next state. I wish I have this, I have that, I have all the possessions. So with your desires, your happiness is also moving. So friends, the happiness that is emerging from the space of desires is actually not the real happiness, because that is coming from our worldly affairs. And desires are actually about, coming from the space that I want to have something. You will desire for something that you don't have. But in real terms, we are what we are seeking. We have what we are seeking. That's what the true state is. I began with this Purnamidam. What is this Purna? Purna means full. Here is full, there is full. And when from the full, something is taken, whatever is taken is also full. Whatever is left is also full. So fullness is our state. We are born out of that fullness. If we are born out of that fullness and we hold these desires, then what happens is we are actually trying to get into a happiness which is momentary in nature. At the same time, I also want to share that it's okay to have desires. But what creates a concern for us, or what keeps us into the loop of those desires, is that when we become too clingy to those desires. When we say, I don't know, but I need it now, I need it here and now. So that is how those desires are actually controlling us. Now, when Janashruti is told about this self, which is beyond all the desires, which is content, which was content, which is content, which will continue to remain content, which is unaffected from death, from misery, from ill health, from anything, which is unaffected, which is just the way it is. It was and it is going to be just the same way. It is completely content and sufficient in its own self. And when he began to hear that, he realized that he needs to now taste it. And that is when Raikva teaches him meditation. Although the meditation that he teaches, the Upanishads, Chandogya Upanishad, specifically in this story, it mentions it as Samvarga Vidya. Samvarga Vidya. So Samvarga means all absorbent. Something that can absorb everything into him. That's what the Samvarga is. So usually what happens is, when I need something, I am absorbed into that object. For example, I need a car. I am absorbed. My senses are absorbed into that object. That's what usually a man does. But he says it's not that you get absorbed into that object. Let the object be absorbed into you. Because you are coming from the space of full. You are full. And there is nothing called object. Everything is subject. Subject means, whom does this car belong to? If I need this car, whom does this car belong to? Does it belong to someone? No. But it belongs to self. And how would I realize that it belongs to self? For example, you need this, let's say a home, a home with great penthouse, 6 BHK, 10 crore rupees. You need this. First, if there is a desire that is emerging within you, you must first ask the question, whom does this desire awaken to, belong to? Whom does this home belong to? Because this home might look to us as an object, but it is a subject. Whom does it belong to? Maybe you don't have any answer. And when you don't have any answer, that is the space of self. Because self cannot be explained. It can only be felt. It can only be felt. So that's what he started to speak about Samvarga Vidya. And, he started to teach him that there is a way where you can begin to absorb all that you are seeking within. And then you will see, if you can drop the action, you will see the thing that you are looking for is coming within you, because the source of everything is self. So for example, if I need this mobile phone and I say, whom does it belong to? I begin to absorb it. when I absorb it, and if I drop the outer space of it, I will realize that the inner, the self, is equally present in that mobile as it is present in me. So if it is present there, if it is present in me, where is the lack? Where is that I don't have it? I have it because the source of both of us is same. And that's what he mentioned him about the self. That don't be busy with the object. Object is mobile, but be busy with the subject. The subject of each and everything is self. If you can put your attention on self, that pure consciousness, you will see the desire will not keep you busy in action. And you're going to have same satisfaction when you focus your attention on that self which is within that, as if you have it now. You will have it. So that's how he started to teach him meditation. And when he learned meditation, Raikva told him, now go back to your kingdom, sit down and practice it every day. So Raikva did this, Janashruti did the same thing. He would wake up, he would begin to meditate. And in those meditations, he started to get insights. He realized that, I have been giving what I have. For example, I have a lot of money, I have a lot of wealth, I have experience of governance, I'm giving that. But now I will give something which is a spiritual welfare to the world. Because the greatest gift which can be given to someone is spiritual welfare. And what is spiritual welfare? Actually teaching somebody to not get controlled by the senses and be absorbed in the pure consciousness which is holding the senses, which is the source of the senses. There is one small example which is mentioned in Katha Upanishad. Katha Upanishad is a conversation between Yamadharmaraj and Nachiketa, wherein Yamadharmaraj tells him what happens after death. So then he speaks about this chariot which is held by 5 horses. There are 5 horses held by the reins, and then somebody is the charioteer who is holding the reins, and there is the owner who is sitting behind, who is actually the real master of the chariot. So from this example, if you notice, our horses are nothing but senses, right? Usually in our life is driven by these horses. Today I say, oh, I need this today. Let's have it. Then horses are moving into that. Oh, I have to go and shop today. Let's buy something. Then the horses are taking into that direction. So most of our life is actually like the chariot, which is driven by the horses and not the one who is the charioteer, who is the Sarathi. It's not by that. That is an unconscious life, dear friends, because we are in control of our senses. We feel that senses are a master of their own self. That's an unconscious state of living, because we are driven by desires that continue to erupt every now and then, and there is no end to it, because desires are an endless pit. They are a vast ocean and there is no end to it. Again, I say it is okay to have desires, but to get attached to it will get us into a state wherein we are moving here and there and there is no direction to life. So what are we supposed to do? We are actually supposed to be growing our connection with the self. And who is the self in this charioteer? In this chariot, it's actually the owner who is sitting behind. The one who is holding the reins and is driving, the Sarathi, is actually our buddhi. So when we meditate, what do? Our buddhi gets an experience of the soul, the real self. And why does it get? Because it is sitting closest of all other things to the soul. Because horses are having a little distance from the real owner who is sitting in the chariot, right? Who is the closest to the self? It's the charioteer, the Sarathi. So Sarathi, the Buddhi, can have the direct tuition from the self. And how do we do that? By learning to meditate. When we learn to meditate, what happens is we are actually growing that space of connection with self. And then we are able to put reins on our senses. We are able to get hold of them. Then they are not our masters. They are our servants. They are here to help us experience life in totality, enjoy them, being able to be able to put all these senses together in the space of mindfulness and do everything joyfully. That's the potential of senses. They are not carrying an identity of their own. These horses do not carry that identity. They are only holding the identity because of self, because the self is shining. Maybe we are not aware of it. We can only get aware of it when we begin to sit quiet in that stillness and we begin to, absorb that self and we sit with that self. And then Janashruti said that, okay, I'm now going to give this spiritual welfare to my kingdom. And then he passed this order that all my soldiers, all my ministers are going to learn meditation. So everybody in the morning, they started to wake up, they begin to meditate. And slowly and gently, they realized that even all the the people in the kingdom, all the citizens of that kingdom also begin to meditate. So it became, a kingdom of meditators. And when it became a kingdom of meditators, the number of crimes started to go down. People became vegetarian. People became more open. Everybody started to follow their dharma. Lot of sharing happening. Everybody started to live as if they are living in one community. So that's how he started to he saw that when he found the space of self within and he moved from that space, he's able to also bring shift in the life of others. He's actually not he, but he became a medium to bring that shift in the life of others. And that's what he realized, that this is the true welfare. Other welfares I was doing, I was giving them food, but that is momentary. It's not going to stay here for a long time. It might make you happy for now. Oh, you're getting food every day, but not for a longer time, because one point in time, you're going to take it for granted. But then he realized if he teach people to tap into that, that space of true happiness, that is where, the self can be experienced. So friends, the essence of this story also teaches about two types of kriyas that we do. So there is one kriya that we do in the outside world, one action, and there is another action that happens in the inside world. Most of the times we are focused on the outside world, the action that we do in the outside world. A person, who does a lot of charity, if you are going to be attached to that space, if you are only attached to that action, that means you are taken, like Janashruti, you are taken over by the pride. But if you are focusing that inner space, and from that space, if you begin to give people the experience of true happiness, because true happiness is something which is beyond any reason. So if I were to put, what is true happiness? True happiness is something wherein you are happy without any reason. Can you be happy without any reason? If you can, that means you are in the space of self. And somewhere you are tasting that self. Happiness doesn't need any reason to be happy. Happiness is what we are. Self's very nature is Ananda. That is why it says Sat Chit Ananda. Anand, bliss, happiness. It's always in the space of bliss. It doesn't need any anchor to bring him happiness. Oh, I will have home, I will be happy. I will have car, I will be happy. I will have latest mobile, I will be happy. I will be married, I will be happy. I will have kids, I will be happy. I'm promoted, I will be happy. It's not related to that. This is conditional happiness. And one day, this conditional happiness is going to shed. It is momentary in nature. But real happiness is content within. It doesn't need any reason for you to be happy. So, friends, if we can stay in the space of happiness, wherein our happiness is not dependent on the outside things, then we are connected to that self. So this is the story of Raikva, where the Kriya is not just about outside, because Janashruti somewhere was taken over by the pride, which was in the outside world, and he was taking pride in all his acts. But the Kriya which is happening within has to be also seen, because initially he was taken over by the pride, and the pride is within. He was helping others because there was this pride. He wanted to have his own accolades and his name and fame. But Raikwa has nothing to do with others. He is not into that space. He is completely satisfied with his own self, and that is what shows in his personality, his individuality. And it speaks about the true quality of an enlightened being, that he is sufficient, content from within. So on this note, dear friends, I'm going to take you through a journey, through this meditation. Let us absorb, the learning of this story, the essence of this story. And, let us be like Raikwa, who is actually in the space of that unbounded happiness, which is beyond any reason. Okay, so if you are ready, I'd like you to give me a thumbs up and let us begin to meditate. Okay, friends, so let us start. At this moment, I'd like you to close your eyes. And take 3 long deep breaths. Breathe in from your nose, hold it for a while, and breathe out from your mouth. When you breathe in, clench your jaw, tighten your muscles, tighten your shoulders. And when you breathe out with a sense of ah. One more time, breathing in and breathing out. One last time, breathing in and breathing out. And now let us focus on our normal breathing. Focus on our normal, natural breath. No efforts to be put in. Just stay with your natural breathing. Nowhere to go. Just be with the breath. And you can stay with your soft, tender, tranquil breath. Not doing anything, just being. Be with your normal breathing. And allow yourself to rest. Rest where you are. Just be. We are resting in all the awareness. When we bring our attention to our breath, the mind begins to get empty. We don't need to be carried by our thoughts. Let the thoughts come in and go. You don't have to interact with them. You can just stay with your breath. Stay with your normal, natural breathing. Just be. And when you begin to stay with the breath, the subtle, softer breath, you're going deeper, deeper into a space of relaxation with total awareness. Allow yourself to spend some time here. Just be. And you might begin to notice that your breath is becoming subtler and subtler. Whatever the pace it has, allow it to be. Don't try to push or pull, just be. Away from all the routine, away from all the noises. You're turning within, going deeper and deeper. And in this space of total relaxation, you allow yourself to delve even more deeper in total awareness on the stillness within you. You're taken to that stillness. There is something which is still silent within you. You can be with that. If any thoughts are trying to take over you, remember that you are not all your thoughts. You are the one witnessing the thoughts. You are the one who is still despite of the movement of the thoughts. You are the one who is unaffected from all the noises. And at this moment right now, I'd like you to bring your attention to any burning desire that you have right now in your life. Any burning desire, a desire to achieve something, possess something, have something, that object can be felt in front of you, and you can let it show up in your mind's eye. Any desire that you have. I'd like you to fully put your attention on that desire. Might be it's going to show up some memories, it's going to show up some images of that desire. Whatever is showing up, I'd like you to completely put your attention on those desires, all that is showing up. This object of desire, that which I want, I can fully put my attention there. And at this moment right now, I'd like you to allow this desire, this object that you are seeking, to be absorbed in you. Allow it to be absorbed in you in a way that object, this desire, is now in you as if it has been met, as if you have it. And when you have it within you, there is some sense of feeling that you can have. Pay attention to that. You can pay attention to the sensations that your body is showing up. Pay attention to the image. And at this moment right now, you raise this question: whom does this belong to? And when you raise this question, I'd like you to drop this object, drop the image of the object, drop the image of this desire, drop it, and just hold the source within, the source of this desire, to whom this desire actually belongs, the subject who is hidden in this object. Just put your attention on that. Whatever you're feeling at this moment, it is okay to feel. And as you stay with what's happening right now, you will notice there is some joy, some unbounded happiness, some feeling that is permeating from within. A feeling of contentment, a feeling of self which can be explained by your own self, or something which is inexplicable. It can be felt by you. You're completely connected to that consciousness, that pure consciousness of self residing in this object. And now, when the object has dropped, you're left with nothing but the real subject, that which is the source of everything. That which is the source for you, others, and everything that seemed to be a worldly object. In other terms, everything is this supreme subject, this pure subject. I'd like you to rest here in the space of this self, where you are not bounded by senses, but where the master is the pure consciousness in you, the self in you. Often we get busy with the action in achieving the object. But when we sit down, we turn within, we realize the object has its source as supreme subject, the supreme self, the supreme karta of everything. Last 5 minutes we are going to spend here in total surrender to this self, as if we are merging into that self. Going into the very depths, very core of yourself. Last 2 minutes. And I can take this approach in my life. I can have everything. At the same time, I am not a servant to anything. Like Raikva, I can let the world chase me when I am content within, when I am connected to that self sufficient space. I can become that medium to spread it then, to be of real spiritual welfare. Taking 3 long deep breaths, breathing in from your nose, hold it for a while, and breathe out from your mouth. And slowly and gently, we are keeping our hands on our eyes for 5 seconds, gently removing our palms and opening our eyes with a smile which is radiating from self, your true nature. Welcome back everyone. If you have any question, any of you want to share your experience, you can write it in the comment section. We'll be happy to read that. And any question, we'll be able to give our best answer. Thank you, Priyaji. Thank you. We are also grateful to you. Thank you. Great, Srinitaji. Thank you. Thanks. So, friends, thank you, Jayaji. Thank you. Chandogya Upanishad says one liner, which says, Yo vai bhuma tat sukham nalpe sukhamasti. Yo vai bhuma tat sukham, which means that which is unbounded is happy. That which is unbounded is happy. That means that which is not in control of anything can really be happy. If you are in control of your possessions, your happiness quotient will keep falling and rising with the movement of the possessions. So, which is why it says, Yo vai bhuma tat sukham, and then it says, Nalpe sukhamasti, which means there is no happiness in small. In small, it simply means when we are attached to the object with the senses. When you are attached to something with the senses, then what happens is your senses are going to keep you busy with the object and you will be struggling with that. You can have that object, there is no foundation to have it, but when you have it, don't be only with the outer skin of the object. Put your attention on the subject, the supreme subject which is in the object, and that is nothing but the self. So that is self. This is self. When everything is self, where is the question of holding that desire and latching to that desire, latching to that unfulfillment? So, friends, let us all take a pledge that we move in our life from the space of a happiness which is not bounded by anything. Let us promise ourselves that we can be happy, we can be truly happy without any reason. We don't need any reason to be happy. We can simply be. Right? And when we simply be, then the joy which is within, it's going to permeate, it's going to show up. And thank you. I can see some of the comments. Padiyar, Ujjwal, I got answers to my questions. Great. I'm happy. Great. Great for that. Thank you, Mridul. Thank you, Jyoti ji. Thank you, Sunita ji. Yes. Uh, fall into that absorbent self. Yes. That which absorbs everything and that which is the source of everything. That is the very nucleus of everything. Thank you, Sujata ji. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Jayesh. Thank you. Thank you so much. And Priya, thank you very much. So, friends, on this note, I take your leave, and with this Mangal Kamna for you, that may you all be connected to that supreme source of happiness within, which is unbounded by any of the desires, objects, and may you truly be happy in who you are. So, thank you, Vinita. Thank you, Smita ji. I will end the class with this Shanti mantra, and all of us can join in this Shanti mantra now. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So thank you, dear friends. And before I sign off, I would really like to thank the QLU Sangha for giving me this opportunity to be exchanging my thoughts with you on this platform. And I would deeply like to pay my gratitude to our teachers, Dr. Newton, Dr. Lakshmi, for all the guidance and all the love. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone for joining me, for being with me here and making it interactive so that I also feel that, yes, this class is alive, even if I can't see anyone, but yes, I can see you all through the feelings that I'm absorbing from the words that you are writing. So thank you so much. And thank you to everybody who is going to watch it in future and use it for their own benefit. On this note, thank you so much. Have a great Sunday evening. Enjoy and be that true happiness that you are. Thank you so much. Thank you.